Hello, everybody. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day today. My name is Mitchell Som. I am the Director of Sales at BDV Solutions. And today we are going to be doing a live broadcast on Facebook, in our Facebook group, which is our private Facebook community, and on our YouTube channel as well. So you might be watching this on Facebook, you might be watching this on YouTube, but regardless of wherever you are, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. And I am going to be pretty much having an open discussion about the EB3 Unskilled program. So I'm excited to dive deep into this with y'all. The objective here is for you to get your questions answered. So you might be a current client of BDV Solutions. You might be someone interested in starting your process, a prospective client. And so I'm kind of here uh, to answer everyone's questions. And hopefully I can answer your questions. If you're a client and you're asking really, really specific questions, I'm probably not going to answer them here on this live video, but you can always sign into your BDV account, chat with us, chat with our staff, and we will try to get you the answer that you're looking for as fast as we can. So yeah, if you, if you want to ask a question, I would highly encourage you to do so. If you just type a comment in to, if you just type a comment in, I should be able to see that, and I can actually add these questions like I'm doing here to the screen. So it's working for a lot of people on YouTube. I don't think you need permission on YouTube to do it, but if you're in the Facebook group, you have to give permission to StreamYard to allow me to actually see your questions come in. So try to do that if you can. And I'm kind of welcoming all these questions. Before I get started answering questions and getting into the Q&A, first of all, I'm going to introduce Gilvandro. Gilvandro Neto, he is from Brazil. He lives in Recife, Brazil, and Gilvandro has been working with BDV since 2018, I think. So it's been a really long time. He's been here, almost as long as I have at BDV. He's had a lot of experience in this process and helping people through this process. He is Brazilian, and we have a ton of Brazilian clients. So he has definitely helped a lot of our Brazilian clients. And yeah, so I'm excited to introduce Gilvandro here. He's actually, I think he's a little bit sick. He might potentially have COVID. So I really appreciate him being here, and despite being sick, being able to show up anyway. So yeah, let's add Gilvandro in here.
Thank you very
Hello,
much.
Gilvandro. How are you?
Yeah,
Gilvandro, if you just want to go ahead and give a little introduction of yourself, that'd be awesome.
yeah. As Mitchell said, I'm Gilvandro. I'm from Brazil. I work with BDV since 2018. I do have some legal background. I did work with immigration since what 2016, I guess. Yeah, 15, 16. I have some degree from University of Houston. So before I started working with BDV, I used to work with different kind of visas, but yes, all of the work were related to the immigration. So I like immigration. Being part of BDV is really good for me because it's a different world from what I've seen before. And yes, EB3 is a different path for people that are willing to move to the US or maybe to adjust from no immigrant visa to an immigrant visa. And usually, whenever you go to a school, even though you have a graduation there, you may have a OPT, CPT, but it's not easy to find a sponsor for you. So you may go to that company, work for a couple months, and whenever your time is gone, they're gonna say, "Hey, we like you, but we cannot sponsor you." So it's a good option. And in the future, of course, you can do whatever you want. You can just whenever you finish your at minimum 12 months requirements with the EB3 sponsor, you can go to wherever you want. You can go back to your field, and that's my personal opinion. I believe this is like the best option for whoever is looking for permanent residence in the U.S.
Totally. Yeah, it definitely is. And yeah, Gilvandro has had just a ton of time to Gilvandro. The thing I love about Gilvandro is when he joined us in 2018, BDV wasn't very well known to anyone. So Gilvandro really did his own due diligence into this EB3 visa program and into BDV just to ensure that we were, legitimate in the first place, because at that time we didn't have a huge Facebook group. We didn't have a huge following of people. There wasn't as much information online about us and our services. Obviously there's a lot now, but at that time you were in Brazil practicing law in Brazil. But you kind of took the risk with us at that time, because it was just such an unknown thing back then. So, and now we've been here. I'm going on 5 years now at BDV, and it's just crazy to see how this business has grown, to see how the client base has grown, and just to see how the overall awareness of the EB3 Unskilled visa program has grown. It's really remarkable. It's a testament to the immigration system in the United States. And this program went from being relatively unknown, though it was created at the same time as all the other immigration categories. It's kind of run relatively unknown for 20, 30 years, and now it's finally starting to become something that's mainstream. So it's really interesting stuff. And Gilvandro, I appreciate you being here. Gilvandro is a sales coordinator at BDV Solutions. So he is helping me and Sarah, and we are kind of the first people that you're going to interact with when you create an account on the website with BDV. Us three are the ones that are going to be answering your questions, clearing your doubts, making you feel more comfortable, making you clear of the program and the expectations of the program, ensuring that you're eligible to even apply for the program. So it's going to be Sarah, Gilvandro, and I that are every day responding to your chats, reviewing your applications. And you can chat with us directly, me, Sarah, or Gilvandro. Gilvandro speaks Portuguese. Sarah speaks Spanish. So we are ready and excited to talk to people that are interested in learning more about this program. Gilvandro, do you have anything else you want to say?
Just ask people that are willing to learn more about the program, BDV, or whatever question they have. They can go to our chat. So just access bdvsolutions.com. They're going to be able to talk to us directly. We have a lot of message coming through the Facebook Messenger, but the first goal is to answer the chat. So I only come to here to the Messenger whenever I have a available time. So we are really busy with phone calls, answering people in the chat, and sometimes it takes like 2-3 days just to reply someone for a simple question that we won't take over than 30 minutes in the chat. So I encourage anyone that is willing to learn more or just have a question, whatever it is, go to our chat, and we're going to be answering them very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And the function that BDV provides here is that we have this group of foreign nationals that want to get a green card. They want to find EB3 sponsorship. And then we have a group of employers that really need workers. And so we are essentially referring the foreign national to the employer. So our main function is to provide a pipeline of labor for these US companies that really need labor. They expect to have a worker that's going to be able to go in on the first day and be able to train and learn the job. So just in terms of language, it is okay if you don't speak English perfectly. But English is definitely a necessity for this visa program, because the employers that you're actually going to be working with through the employment-based visa are going to require some type of English, and English is going to be necessary in the work environment for you to be able to do your job. So it's okay if you don't speak perfect English. I always encourage people and recommend for people to study, watch Netflix, watch American TV shows, whatever you need to do to, master your English as best as you can. So when you get here to the US, or I mean, most of you that are already here are probably speaking English pretty well now, but if you're doing consular processing and you get here to the US, you're going to, feel a lot more prepared, not only in your work life, but in your personal life as well. So yeah, no discrimination though against people that aren't speaking English. We encourage people to sign up and apply for this. It's just you need to understand what you're getting into, and the expectation needs to be clear from the beginning. So yeah, Gilvandro, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Hope you feel better.
Yeah, almost 100%. So probably by next week I'll be much better. And if whenever you want to do a live again, maybe we can ask people to already send like whatever they have questions, and we can prepare just specific answers for that most common questions. Or maybe if they want us to discuss about something that is like a common question between the candidates, and for some reason they don't want to ask specifically, but they can send questions as a group as well. I know most of our clients, they participate on WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, Instagram groups, whatever. So they can send us like some topics that we can better discuss, because I know they watch videos, they are onboarding videos, but sometimes not all of the common questions are completely answered there. So they're free to send
Totally.
us all the talks they want us to discuss more, and we can do more of this. So we're gonna be trying to
Totally.
help as many people as
And
possible.
and to that point, Gilvandro, what Sarah and Gilvandro and I are trying to provide, and it's totally free of charge in the beginning. You don't pay anything until you actually decide to sign up for our services. But what we try to provide you is a consultation to your specific case to see if this is a good option for you or not. We're not here to provide legal advice to you. We're not here to answer all of your questions about your student visa and stuff like that, but we can talk to you about this opportunity in the EB3 Unskilled program and if it's going to work for you or not. So yeah, utilize us because we're here Monday through Friday, eager to answer your questions and to clarify your doubts. So yeah. All right. Thank you, Gilvandro. I'm going to pop you off here for now. And then next up, I would like to invite my good friend and colleague to the stage, Sarah. So let's see. Sarah, do you think you could potentially cut your mic? Yes, there we go.
I'm here now. Okay. Hey,
Cool. So,
everybody. I'm Sarah, sales coordinator here at BDV. I have been working with Mitchell since November. Pretty much what they've been saying, answering all you guys' questions, making sure that everyone is eligible before they even, get excited or pay anything. So yeah.
yeah, and Sarah has been here for I think 4 months now. And Sarah herself is actually an immigrant. Sarah's from Colombia. She speaks Spanish. So definitely, Gilvandro and Sarah both, I can't attest to that, but both of y'all have true experience as immigrants, and speak a foreign language, which is incredibly helpful. But Sarah is really knowledgeable. She is only been here 4 months, but has learned so much. And I hope that everyone can give her a chance to, because some people don't necessarily want to talk to Sarah because she's new here, but Sarah is very knowledgeable. She has really learned so much in the past couple of months, and she can help you definitely. And if you're a Spanish speaker, she's happy to assist you there as well. So yeah.
Yeah,
Anything else you want to
absolutely.
say?
No, just that I kind of understand. I mean, I was an immigrant and I went through a very long family petition to get here. I didn't do this process specifically, but I know exactly how it feels to be waiting for long periods of time. And I just am empathetic to everyone going through this process and wanting to go through this process. So I'm here to answer all your questions to make sure that you understand everything and that you're not in the dark about anything. And I know it can be, it's a very expensive process, and it's a very lengthy process, but that's why we're here, to make sure that you guys know everything and are comfortable with everything and understand the whole process. And so I'm willing and I love to help everyone out, because again, I went through the process and I would love for you guys to do the same.
Sweet. And one thing you're going to love about Sarah and Gilvandro as well is that, like, they are straight shooters. So they're going to tell you how it is. Like, if you're not eligible to do this program, we're going to let you know you're not eligible to do this program. If you have a really complicated question that you need an answer to, we're going to work to get that answered for you, whatever it might be. So we're here to be transparent, answer your questions. Sarah, Gilvandro, and I, we're not here to mess around with anybody. So yeah. Thank you so much, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
You got something else?
Well, I was just going to say that a lot of people think that just chatting with us or asking questions, you guys have to pay something. Just chatting us and making sure that you're eligible and asking these questions, it's free. And we answer all the questions and we make sure that you are eligible before you even pay anything. And yeah, we're not going to let you go through the process and then be somewhere in the middle of the process and then not be eligible, because that's would be messed up.
Exactly. So we share the same objective as all of y'all, that we want you to get your green card. We want you to get successfully through the process. So we don't want to accept anyone in the first place that is ineligible. So we are like hunting down people that aren't ineligible, because we don't want them to spend money on something that where they can potentially get rejected. So yeah, simple as that. Simple as that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate you.
Bye, y'all.
And y'all can sign off for now, or y'all can keep watching. All right. So that was just a quick introduction to the sales team, just so y'all can put some faces to names. And not only are Gilvandro and Sarah going to be responding to you in chats, but if y'all want to schedule phone calls, Gilvandro and Sarah will schedule a phone call with you. I will schedule a phone call with you. Yeah, and they are just as knowledgeable as I am at this point and can definitely answer your questions and help you through the beginning steps of this process. So included in this beginning step is going to be you learning about the cost of the process, the who BDV is, what we do, the way the process works. When you sign up on our website, the first thing you do is you go through a series of videos. I call it the webinar. You go through that onboarding webinar, and it's going to talk to you through each of these points. It's going to talk to you about the costs. It's going to talk to you about the processing. It's going to tell you a little bit more information about BDV, who we are, what our background is, our experience in this field. And then you are going to answer a series of questions. These are pretty much yes or no questions. And if you answer yes to any of those questions, we're going to ask some more information from you. And these are questionnaires that Gilvandro and Sarah and I are reviewing on a daily basis. So if we have a question, we will send you a chat and try to figure out whether you are eligible to move forward or not. Once you're done with the questionnaire and we approve that, we ask you to upload your passport. And at this stage is kind of where we learn more about you. Who are you? The reason why we ask for your passport at this stage of the process is because we want to make sure that you are a real living person. We're not here to steal your documents. We're not here to steal your data. We just want to make sure that you are a real person and you are who you tell us you are. So at this point, you'll kind of give us your location, where you are. If you're in the United States, if you're living outside of the United States, if you're on a student visa, if you're on a tourist visa, whatever you're on, this is where we're trying to figure it out. And this gives us kind of a better understanding of making a plan for you to actually start this process and go through the process. Once we review that, we will approve your account. And at that point, your account is approved. You will have access to the job pool. The job pool is going to show you all the available jobs that we have right now. So there's going to be multiple different options, different locations, different types of jobs. It's going to show you the wage, the location, the job. The descriptions in those different jobs are somewhat vague, but if you have more detailed questions about the job, that's what Gilvandro and Sarah and I are here for. We're going to answer those questions for you. Or if there's a particular question that you don't know and the answer is not on the website, we're here to get that answer for you. So whether it be, does this company offer benefits? Does this company offer health insurance? Do they have a 401k? What is my schedule going to be like? All these types of questions we get all the time, and they're different depending on which employer you're talking about. So we can figure it out for you. It might take us a day, but we'll get back to you with whatever answer you're looking for. So yeah, at that point, you can select whatever job you're interested in, whatever job you want to move forward with. You'll select your payment options at this point, and we'll kind of get into the payment options a little bit later. And then you will sign a contract with BDV Solutions. It's a digital contract through DocuSign. So all you have to do is read it and click through it and sign it digitally. It's very simple. And then it will take you to the payment page where you will make your first payment. Recently, we've had some issues with our website. We're working on getting all those fixed. Apologize if you were affected by any of those issues, but you should be given 7 days to complete your payment once you get to that page, that payment page. And so essentially, the spot that you selected will be held for you for 7 days, and you have to submit your first payment within that 7-day period. So you do not pay any money in this process until we determine that you're eligible for it. You complete our onboarding webinar and our questionnaire. You select the job that you're most interested in. You sign a contract with BDV Solutions, and then you make your payment. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a free resource at your hands here to just figure out if this program is the right program for you. And then you'll become a client of BDV. At that point, you will have selected a job, and on each of these individual jobs, you will see estimated labor certification filing dates. So the labor certification filing dates are going to give you an estimated time of when the employer you selected is going to begin filing labor certifications. Typically, it's within about 1 to 2 months. Sometimes you'll get lucky, you'll sign in, and there will be an employer that is filing immediately. Lately, those jobs get filled really, really quickly because there's always people who want to and need to start their process as soon as they can, due to timing, due to their status, the duration of their status. If they're on like a student visa and they don't have a lot of time and status, so there's always people eager to get this process started. So I definitely recommend for you to take a look at that job selection, and there's going to be little red numbers near each of the jobs, and it's going to tell you how many positions are still available to select. So if you sign in there every day, you're going to see those numbers are going to kind of slowly be going down because people are signing up. And so it's just important to be aware of what's available if you are in fact interested to move forward with this process. So the first step of the process is the labor certification. Labor certification is step 1 here. The second part of the process, step 2, is going to be the I-140. And then step 3 here, the third step of the process, is going to be the visa interview or the I-485 adjustment of status interview. So it's a 3-step process, regardless of whether you're outside of the United States or whether you're inside of the United States. It is the same process essentially. With the adjustment of status in the United States, it's a little bit different because you file for a work permit and you actually get a work permit and you're able to start working for your employer sponsor before you get your green card approved. Whereas if you're outside of the United States, you go through this entire process outside of the United States. And the last step of the process is getting your visa. Your visa is a green card. It's not a physical green card, but it's a visa that serves as a temporary green card for a 1-year period. And then once you actually physically enter the United States, you will get a physical green card mailed to you from USCIS. So same process, a little bit different, but essentially it's the exact same thing. With the Department of Labor, in the first step of the process, the Department of Labor is going to be the U.S. government entity that is managing that first step of the process. The second step, the I-140, is going to be with USCIS, Customs and Immigration Services. And then the third step of the process, if you're in the United States, is going to be with USCIS. But if you're outside of the United States, is going to be with the State Department at the US consulate. So that is generally, in a very brief kind of explanation, how the process works. Labor certification approved, I-140, I-140 approved, visa interview or green card interview or adjustment of status interview or green card approval with no interview, which is something that we've been seeing lately as well. So yeah, that's honestly a very, very brief explanation of the process. And what I intend to do now is go through these questions because I got a lot at this point. And I'm going to encourage y'all to continue asking questions and continue typing out your questions. So y'all can keep me talking as long as y'all want me to talk or as long as I physically can. And yeah, hopefully by the end of all of this, you will feel more informed, more confident. And if you haven't started this process, hopefully you're feeling ready to start. So let me get a sip of water and then we will proceed here. All right. So first question, what is the cost of the whole process? I would be applying from the UK. There are two different costs. So if you're applying in the United States, there's a cost for adjustment of status. And if you're outside of the United States, there's a cost for consular processing. Consular processing is more expensive. So I really don't want to dive into the details of all of the numbers in here, but I will tell you, adjustment of status is roughly $20,000 and consular processing is roughly $25,000. We do have different payment options. So for me to get into all of these right now it's kind of a lot to explain in a video, but I would definitely suggest for you to create the account on our website. And there's a chart that you will see in your onboarding that will explain the costs of the process. And then if you have any questions about those specific costs, you can chat with us and we can answer any sort of doubts or clarifications that you need. But you're looking at roughly $20,000 to $25,000. If you have dependents, if you have children, or if you have a spouse that's going to be joining your application, there are additional fees for that. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as well. But I'm happy to talk to you specifically more about the cost. I would just appreciate it if you create an account on our website and we kind of dove into it there. Hi, Mitchell. I'm going through the EB3. Excuse me. I'm going for EB3 Unskilled interview in Zimbabwe. So what are my chances of getting through if I have 20 years of experience? Well, good for you. I hope your process is going well for you. The fact that you have 20 years of experience has no effect on the adjudication of your visa. So it doesn't matter if you worked 20 years. It doesn't matter if you are Bill Gates or you are Tim Cook or Albert Einstein or a NASA astronaut, scientist, whatever, rocket scientist. You could be anyone and you can apply for this. That's the amazing part about this program specifically, is that there are no qualifications, but you cannot be overqualified. So you don't have to have a high school degree even to apply for this, but also you could have a PhD and you could still apply for this. And that your educational experience and your professional experience are not going to impact your ability to get your visa approved. It's just, as long as your intention is true of working for your employer and you truly have the intention to go work full-time for this employer that you signed up with, that is what is important. It's not about your past experience. It's not about your education, anything like that. What's important is that your intention is true and genuine. And once you have the ability, you're going to go and start working for that employer full-time. So it's so I hope that kind of clarifies your question. All right. Mitchell, just joined the group, want to know more on how to start the process. Hopefully I explained a little bit of that at the beginning of this video. of how you can actually start this, and if you want to learn more, how you can actually learn more, and do what you are trying to do and figure out what you're trying to figure out. So definitely recommend for you to create an account on the website and move forward there with us, and we can help you through that entire process for sure. Um, One thing that I would like to say, and I take calls kind of like all day long with people, one-on-one consultations, answering people's specific questions, and I don't have a lot of patience for people that don't do their own research and their own due diligence, because it's frustrating talking to someone that is talking to me about spending potentially $20,000, but they haven't done any research into it. And so I got off the phone just an hour ago with this guy who called and was like, "Who is BDV Solutions? How long have y'all been in business?" You know, kind of just coming at it with an attitude of like skepticism, which I totally understand from some point. But what BDV has done and what distinguishes BDV from other agencies is that we have provided a ton of resources to learn about the services that we provide and to learn about our clients' experiences. And I think transparency ultimately is what has made BDV successful. And that's because we are willing to show the good experiences, show the bad experiences that our clients have had. Bad experiences being really long processing times, not necessarily denials of their visas. Um, so, so yeah, this is just my little vent here for a second, but do your own due diligence. If you're new to this group and you just figured out about this program, do some research, do a Google search. You're going to find other sources of information that aren't BDV that are going to give you, more insight into what this program really is. And then our Facebook group is the biggest resource in my opinion. We have almost 40,000 people in there. A ton of clients are in there. Thousands of BDV clients are in that Facebook group, communicating, commenting on posts, talking about their experience. So utilize that Facebook group and talk to these people, because there's people that are willing to talk to you in there that are BDV clients. Trust me, there's a lot of them. And ask your questions. Because that community is super valuable, and that's, again, I think something that sets BDV apart from the others is that we do have our BDV group is like a family, and we're all in this together. We're all going through this process together, and our staff here at BDV is trying to support all of y'all through that. So we believe in this program. That's why we do this. We really truly believe in the value of this program, the value of you to actually get a green card, become a permanent resident of the United States, live here permanently for the rest of your life with your spouse and your children, be able to work here. It's an amazing opportunity for a lot of people that is really difficult typically to obtain. And then on the other side of this equation, you have the employer. You have U.S. employers that have been hit super, super hard by the pandemic, labor shortages at an all-time high in the United States. And a program like this can really be a lifeline for these companies that are supporting families and supporting US workers. So I personally feel like without this program for some of these businesses, they would have a big, big problem on their hands, because a ton of businesses across industries in the United States right now are facing the same issue, which is this massive labor shortage. Employers cannot find entry level unskilled workers. It's just incredibly difficult to find consistent workers. A lot of people will hire someone and they'll stay for a month, or they'll stay for 2 or 3 months, and they train them and they invest all this into them for them to be an employee, and then that person ends up leaving. And it just creates this endless cycle for human resources teams, for businesses that are trying to grow and trying to scale. It's obviously a huge, huge problem. So we have two problems here that we're solving. Problem number one is that you want to immigrate to the United States. You want to get a green card and you want to immigrate to the United States. And problem two is this employer has a labor shortage that needs to be solved. So essentially what this program does is it matches y'all together and it solves both of your problems at once. So it's really amazing, and there's really nothing else like it. Done with that. Now I'm going to continue going through these questions. Um, I am under E2 work visa, which will expire Jan 2023. Would I be able to apply for EB3 without losing my immigration status based on the processing times? Now it's February 2022, so potentially you have enough time on your E2 visa to complete the adjustment of status and get to the stage of the EB3 process where you no longer need to maintain your underlying visa status. So at a certain point in this process, for people that are adjusting their status in the United States, at a certain point in the process, you don't need to maintain your underlying status anymore. So you don't have to keep going to school and maintaining your I-20. You don't have to continue working on your OPT or your STEM OPT at a certain point in this process. As for you with your E2, you might not need to continue that E2 status at a certain point in this process. But typically, I suggest for people to have at least 1 year of status when they start this process. So in your case, you have 11 months. So personally, I would recommend for you to start a process like this as soon as you can, because then you have less risk to actually not get to this stage of the process where your adjustment of status is filed and you're on a pending status and you no longer need to maintain your underlying status. For international students, it's always important to have a backup plan. I think a lot of international students just do have a backup plan in their heads. Well, what am I going to do after my OPT expires? What am I going to do after I graduate? And so it's always important to have a plan. I think typically a lot of people have said, oh, well, I'm going to try to find an H-1B sponsor. I'm going to get OPT, and then I'm going to try to get my OPT sponsor to file an H-1B for me. So people are always kind of preparing their next step in the United States. The beauty of this program is that it's the last step. It's your permanent green card. It's not an H-1B. It's not an H-2A. It's not a temporary. It's not an E-2 even. It's not a temporary visa. It's a permanent residence green card. So the employment-based visa program leads to a green card. So it's not a non-immigrant visa. This is an immigrant visa, and it's freaking awesome in my opinion. But Paula, to wrap up this question, you might have enough time. I would definitely recommend to start your process as soon as you can. But you should also have a backup plan. If you get to January 2023 and your I-485 adjustment of status has not been filed yet, then you're going to need to figure something else out if you want to stay here in the United States. You might have to go back to your home country and get another E2 visa or something. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. I came here on a B2 visa, applied for asylum before my I-94 expired, waiting for the interview, but it's taking a lot of time. Can I jump to EB3 for further processing? Thank you. Yes. The short answer to this question is yes, but there is a longer explanation to this particular situation. Recently, and by recently, I would say within the past probably 14 months, BDV has begun accepting applicants that are on a pending asylum status. However, there are 2 rules that have to apply for you in order for you to actually be eligible. The first rule is that you have to have applied for asylum either while you were in a legal status. So if you came in on a B2 visa and you had 6 months in the United States, and then you applied for asylum at month 4 when you were still in status, that's good. And that's a requirement. Or you applied for your asylum within 180 days of being out of status. So even if you entered on a B visa and you stayed 6 months and then you overstayed your visa, if you filed for your asylum 2 months after you overstayed, then that is okay. If you entered the United States illegally and then you filed for asylum, unfortunately, you're not eligible to do it. And if you entered the United States, got out of status for more than 6 months, and then you filed for your asylum, unfortunately, you're not able to do it. So that is one rule, is that you have to have entered legally and you have to have filed your asylum while you were in status or within 180 days of being out of status. So that's the first rule. And then the second rule here, and this is really the important one, is that your asylum case is still pending. This means that your asylum has not been referred yet to immigration court. So if you're still waiting for an interview from USCIS, and you qualify with the first rule that I just said, then yes, you can definitely apply for this. There is a risk tied to applying with asylum just in terms of timing, because if your asylum case gets referred to immigration court before your I-485 adjustment of status is filed in the process, then you have no choice to either continue your asylum process or drop your asylum process, go back to your home country, and then continue your EB-3 process from your home country or from outside of the United States. So it's a little more complicated with pending asylum applicants, and there is a little bit even more of a time restriction that's a little bit more important. But the answer and the quick answer to your question is yes, you can. I would definitely recommend to create an account on our website and consult us just individually, just so we can make sure that you actually qualify. I'd like to know how much the whole process cost. I kind of just touched on this before, but if you have detailed questions about the cost, please create an account on our website. There's going to be a PDF that you can get in there that's going to explain all the details of the costs. And I'm also happy to chat with you about those and kind of walk you through those. But again, I will say it's roughly going to cost you anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000 to $30,000 to do this program, depending on if it's just you or if you have a family, if you have children, or if you're inside the United States or if you're outside of the United States. So, and then we also have 2 different payment options. So it's a lot to explain here in the video, but I'm happy to explain it to you over on the website. Estimated time of approval for labor certification filed in March 2022. Everyone wants to know how fast they're going to get their labor certification. The truth is, no one's really going to be able to give you an answer here because no one can predict the future processing times of the Department of Labor. They're constantly changing, but I will say for probably the past 6 to 10 months, the processing times have been pretty consistent, and it's around 6 to 11 to 12 months to get a response. So the way that the Department of Labor, the labor certification period works is your labor certification is filed by your employer with the Department of Labor. And then usually around that month 6 right now, you'll get an initial adjudication of the labor certification. It's totally random, but I would say, and this is just a guess, but I would say maybe 60% of the labor certifications will get approved at that step of the process. The other 40% will get an audit, and an audit is a step of this labor certification process that the Department of Labor has put in place just to test the integrity of the program and test the integrity of the employer. Essentially, in those audits, typically the Department of Labor is asking for more information from the employer just to prove that they really have a labor shortage. They have done the right thing that they need to do to prove that labor shortage. And audits are really random. So you might get an audit, you might not get an audit. Most people don't want to get them, but it's really not up to you. It's not up to me. It's really up to fate of this world, whether you're going to get an audit or not. So you got to keep your fingers crossed, pray, whatever you need to do to make yourself feel good and happy and confident and comfortable. So 6 to 12 months. I would say 6 months right now is a time if you're going to get just that immediate approval and you're lucky. If you get that audit, it's probably going to tack on an additional 5 to 6 months. And again, you're asking about processing times in the future. no one's really going to be able to answer that question for you. But you can always go on the Department of Labor website and you can see their processing times for perm processing. So there's a little chart there. It'll say perm processing times, analyst review, audit review, and that will show you which months of labor certifications they are working on. So I definitely recommend to check that out. I'm from Brazil, student visa in Florida. If you're here on a student visa, I would say maybe 75% of all of our clients are international students. So we have a lot of experience dealing with people that are already here in the United States. They've been studying, whatever it might be. You're on an I-20, you're on OPT, you're on STEM OPT, you're doing CPT, whatever. If you have any questions, let us know and we'll be happy to help you. Excuse me. Mitchell, do you have any cases, changes status to asylum who are in the US? Basanta just answered this question for you. Hopefully you were on to hear it. But yeah, if you didn't, go back and listen to it because it's kind of a long rant about eligibility for pending asylum applicants. But the short answer is yes. But the reality of the situation for everyone is you're going to have to create an account on our website anyway. If you're thinking about moving forward, just go ahead and do it and chat with us, and we'll have a one-on-one consultation to figure out if this is right for you or not. All right. How long does it take for Nepalis? Nepalis, I love Nepali people. Like, they're like some of my favorite types of people because I went to Nepal in 2019 and I had an amazing time. Went to Kathmandu. The Nepali people are so nice, so generous, and just really just happy people overall. I feel like I am Nepali, like in my soul. But the short answer to this question is it doesn't take any longer for you than it does from anyone from any other nationality. Unfortunately, BDV Solutions, we do not accept applicants that were born in India or born in China. It's not because we don't like Indians and Chinese people. We love them. But unfortunately, due to the visa backlogs from this particular visa category, there's about a 5 to 8 year waiting list backlog. And unfortunately, just the employers that we work with aren't willing to wait 8 years for, for a worker to be able to come and actually work for them. So if you're from any other country besides India and China, you're eligible to apply for this program. And it's based on your country of birth. So you could be an Indian citizen, but you could be born in Saudi Arabia, or you could have been born in the United Kingdom. So it's based on your country of birth. If you're from any other country besides, China or India, you're eligible to apply for this. In terms of the timing depends on a lot of different factors here, and timing is always changing, So the processing times they're not consistent. They're constantly changing within all three of these different departments: Department of Labor, USCIS, and the State Department. The State Department has definitely seen probably the most delays over the past 2 years because of the coronavirus. And ever since coronavirus came, there's several embassies that haven't done any interviews at all. And there's some embassies that aren't doing any employment-based visa immigrant interviews. So it's tough to say in terms of timing. Right now, I'm telling people that 24 months is the average. 24 months is kind of the average time to get from a labor certification to your green card. But it depends for every single person. It's going to be different. And Sarah is posting green cards in our Facebook group and timelines of those clients that have gone through. So you can see our specific clients' timelines that will give you more insight into their specific case and how their case went. And you're going to see cases in there that took a lot longer than 24 months. So there are cases where it has gone longer than expected. Also, you're going to see cases that were fast. There's one case that was 12 months, and that was in 2018, which is a long time ago. But the fact remains the same that it's only been 4 years, but that person had a totally different experience than people are having right now. under the current program. Another point that kind of I want to bring up here is refunds and guarantees. Refunds and guarantees. We do not offer refunds. We do not offer guarantees. You know, when you sign up with BDV, we expect you to commit to us like we commit to you and we commit to your case. So that is really the main reason why we don't offer refunds. But our policy at BDV is that if you are rejected at any stage of the process and it is not your fault, if the employer made a mistake, if there was a clerical error somewhere that caused you to get rejected, any sort of problem that is not related to you directly, your background, BDV will find a new employer that will refile again for you at no extra cost to you. So this is our policy that we stand by. Several clients have dealt with this and they've had to undergo a second application at no extra cost to them. And so you will see that in the Facebook group, several green cards that we've posted where people have had to start with a new application. That is rare, especially now. And over the years of experience that we've had, the less and less errors are getting made and kind of the more efficient this whole process is for BDV. So denials in the first case are rare. They are not happening to most people. But if they do happen to you and it's not your fault, then we got your back. And you're not going to lose any money. You will lose time, but you will not lose money. But it's important for me to set this expectation for everyone and kind of set the record straight. And then guarantees. No one is going to be able to offer you a guarantee, a 100% guarantee on a US immigration process. So I've scrolled through Google and I've seen like these Google ads of people that say 100% we guarantee it. Well, any sort of company or agency that is giving you a guarantee is, I would be extremely skeptical of, and I recommend for people to be skeptical and ask the hard questions, because we're going to tell you the answers that you don't want to hear necessarily. But that's what we do. And ultimately we do that out of respect for you. And we don't want someone signing up with us that is going to get rejected because of their own personal background and then come back to us and say, hey, well, you didn't tell me this or something. And so that's why in the beginning of this process, when you sign up, it's important to be honest with us. Let us know kind of what your situation is so we can give you an honest assessment of, whether we think that this is right for you or not. That will just kind of hopefully answer y'all's questions a little bit about refunds and guarantees. Unfortunately, last year we had a client pass away. That was the only refund I've ever seen us give, which we gave obviously the money back to his family. But yeah, you got to commit to us like we commit to you. And yeah, it's as simple as that. So let's keep going here. I want to apply for my brother, and during the process, can he apply for a visit visa? If he gets a visit visa, does he still have to pay the consular fee? This is kind of a bit of a controversial topic right now. And it really just kind of depends. So honestly, what I'm going to recommend for you to do is create an account on our website and chat with me, and I'll kind of talk to you a little bit more about your brother and his situation, and we can see what options he has. But typically, adjusting your status from a tourist visa, from a B visa, has not been, the most effective and safe way to undergo this process. But I'm happy to talk to you more about it. But I would definitely recommend to create an account on our website and we'll chat more. I'm on the EB3 Unskilled. My daughter is my dependent, and I take my biometrics January 11th. My question is, will my daughter take biometrics too, and how soon is it? To be totally honest, I don't know the answer to this question. But I would recommend for you to talk to your attorney who is helping you and ask them, because they'll definitely be able to provide you this answer. I'm really not entirely sure about the biometrics for dependents. So yeah, sorry, I can't give you an answer there. I'm a BDV client. My labor certification filed February 13th, probably. Can I also apply for H-1B in March from my company just in case my EB-3 gets denied? I will have a backup. Yes, you absolutely can. You can file for an H-1B if you want to. I will tell you, you're definitely probably going to have better luck, with our program. But if you want to file for H-1B and try to do that, I mean, that is totally your right to do that. And yeah, absolutely. After biometrics, how long should you wait for your EAD card? I think EAD cards specifically right now are backlogged for a large majority of not just EB3 cases, but all types of work permits. So it's clear right now that USCIS is facing a backlog that is affecting kind of all immigration processes. And so it's going to be tough to give you a true estimate here without just kind of saying a number. But I will say that we are having clients as well that are getting their work permits really quickly. And then they'll get their work permit and then they'll get an interview notice like a week later. So it is super important for our clients, BDV's clients, that once you get your work permit, you notify BDV as soon as you can, because we want you to be fully prepared going into that interview. And right now we're seeing a lot of just really short notice between getting that work permit and being able to actually start working and getting your interview. So definitely, if you're a BDV client, keep that in mind. We are here as your liaison between you and the employer. So our client services team with John Cooper and Corey and some of our other staff that hopefully we'll introduce y'all on here soon. They help all of our clients through that step of the process in their relocation and starting work. So our team will help you schedule your orientation and help you get on the right track. Yeah. Can you please explain a case out of normal timeline, didn't respond, a couple of service requests and provision of lawsuit, please? There are a handful of cases that BDV has right now that have gone way outside of normal processing times, and BDV has done a lot of work to try to get these cases moving. Ultimately, you have to understand exactly what you're signing up for here, and it's not, like I said, it's not a 100% guarantee. Definitely not a 100% guarantee of timing, because we have a handful of cases that have been pending for a really, really long time, like an obnoxious amount of time. And we have done what we can, trying to appeal and trying to, even file mandamus lawsuits to get those cases moving forward, which has worked for many of those cases. But then there's some cases that have gone way outside of the processing times. Now, those people that are here processing, lucky for them, they have a work permit. They're able to work. Many of those people have been pending for literally years, but they haven't gotten rejected. So they're still here living in the United States. We're still fighting for those cases. And I think ultimately we're going to see a positive result for those. But it's just a matter of dealing with the USCIS and dealing with these government agencies. And this comes back to a really good point. This is what sets BDV apart from another agency. It's the fact that we are like insurance. If something goes wrong in your case, we are going to be there to support you through whatever that is, regardless of how we have to respond, whether it's starting a new application with a new employer, whether it's contacting the local senators to try to get the cases moving forward, whether it's filing mandamus lawsuits against whatever officer is holding up the adjudication, whatever it might be. BDV is there to be by your side, do as much as we possibly can to get your case moving forward. But at some point, everyone has to realize that BDV is not affiliated with the US government at all. We only have so much ability to do so much. But we provide full support for our clients in these circumstances where we do as much as we possibly can to get the case going, get the case moving, and get a positive result at the end of the case. This is a huge, huge part of BDV that is unseen to most people. And especially when you sign up for this, it's important for you to know about it because, in my opinion, this is the biggest value of BDV. Not everyone is going to have a super smooth, perfect case. Some people are. Most people's cases are going to be pretty normal, pretty fine. But there's a handful of people who are going to go through a rough time. And that's just the nature of life and fate in some point. And you want to have a team by your side that's going to be there for your case, be there for you to support you through that, and to make sure that the case is moving forward in the right direction. So you might be a person that is, I don't know who wrote this comment because it just says Facebook user, but you might be a person that is in one of these out of the normal timelines. And I'm sorry for that. It really, really sucks. I know that like some of those situations can be really, really difficult, but at the end of the day, you're in the right hands with BDV, and I'm always optimistic towards positive results here. And I don't say that just kind of just out of nowhere. I say that after years of experience in dealing with these types of problems and dealing with these types of cases. So just try to relax and try to be as patient as you can, because some things are just out of your control, out of our control, and sometimes time is really the only answer. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but again, like I said, I'm going to be straight with you and I'm going to tell you the way it is, because I don't want to blow smoke up your ass, as they say. Pardon my French. Okay. Currently in the US, starting the process soon. Eligible for adjustment of status, but in some cases I leave the US and couldn't return. Can I change my adjustment status to consular process for extra fee? Yes. If you have to leave the United States in the middle of your adjustment of status process, it is possible to continue your process through consular processing outside the United States. I always recommend for people in this situation to try to remain in the United States if they can, just because it's typically a little bit faster based on the current COVID situation with the embassies. So I usually recommend for people to try to stick it out as long as you can, and complete your process from within the United States. But absolutely, if you need to leave the United States and continue the process from outside of the United States, you can do that. And that's not a problem at all. Okay. If the ETA form 9089 labor certification is approved 1 month before expiration of my status through E2, will I be able to leave the country for renewal or extension at the embassy, or will I not have a problem? In situations like this, I don't know how other attorneys or other agencies kind of deal with this situation, but at BDV, if you were like really like right on the edge and like about to fall out of status, we do our best work to get all of the documents together and everything that's needed to be together for the 485 filing, which is the next step of the process, and the I-140 filing. And so it'll be our goal to get your 485 filed for you before your E2 visa expires, so you don't have to leave and re-enter. But in the case that doesn't work out, then you will be able to leave the United States and apply for a new visa. Now, you getting that visa approved or not, again, that's going to be at the hands of the State Department wherever you're living. But yeah, technically you can do that. So yeah. If my sponsor or employer ever demands that I work overtime, am I required to comply? Absolutely not. No one has to work overtime unless they want to work overtime. So no, none of the employers are going to do that. If any sort of situation comes up, and look, the reality of this situation here is we're dealing with thousands of different people, different families, and different employers as well. And these are employers that are large companies. So within these companies, you have managers, supervisors, people that are actually on the day-to-day running these businesses. And so it's a lot to manage everything. And typically our clients don't have any issues with the employers. Most of our employers are, really good in treating our clients, like they would any other person, as they should, right? Um, if any of our clients had a sponsor that was demanding them to work overtime, that would be something where you can come back to our team, come back to our client services department. John Cooper and Corey and Carolina and their team deal with these types of situations, and we try to solve them really fast, as fast as we can. So there are always two sides kind of to this story with the worker and the employee. Um, we're here, to defend our clients, but at the same time, you cannot be signing up for this program and taking advantage of your employer, thinking that you can do whatever you want to do, because the employer is sponsoring you through this green card process. And if you don't have the respect to give them to go to work on time and do your job and be a good employee, then what are you doing even signing up for this process in the first place? You need to figure out how to get a green card through EB-5 or some other pathway. If you don't have a true intention to go, show up, be a good employee, be a good worker, do your job, and be grateful that your employer, was willing to sponsor your green card, then this is not going to be the program for you, to be honest. And we have had clients that have totally just taken advantage of the employers. And it's something that it's really bad, first of all, for you to do that and act like that. BDV does not condone that type of behavior with our clients. And so you can get yourself into a bad situation here where you have signed up for this process, you've gone through the process, and you're almost at the end, or even you have your green card already. But if the employer feels at any point like you took advantage of them, or you took advantage of this system or this program, that employer has the right to report you to USCIS for immigration fraud. And USCIS does not mess around with that type of thing. They will revoke citizenship in some cases over situations like this where employers feel taken advantage of. They will take serious measures. They will deport you. They will take your green card. They will do things that you don't want them to do. So that's why, again, I stress to you, you're not like a slave or an indentured servant to these employers. You're an employee, just like any American employee is working there too. You're the exact same as them. You're just another employee. So if you feel like they're taking advantage of you, that's totally not acceptable. And that's something where we are here to step in and say, hey, something's wrong here. Something's going on here. At the same time, you have to, respect this employer, do your job, go to work, show up, show up on time, do your job. And that's the whole intention of this program. So if your intention is not true, just sign out of this Facebook Live or this YouTube Live right now and go figure something else out, because it's not something that really we want to deal with here, to be totally frank and totally honest. All right. Hope that answered that question. Once I have my LC approved, I-140 approved, and filed 485, 765, all concurrent, will you be able to leave your current job under your E2 visa? Yes. Once your I-140 is approved and your I-485 is filed, at that stage, you really are in a pending adjustment of status. And at that point, you don't need to maintain your underlying status anymore if you don't want to. Some people will wait to drop their status until they get their I-765 work permit approved and they're able to actually start working. But really, it's up to you. And once you get that approved I-140 and the I-485 filed, that is really the safe point where you can drop your underlying status and not be worried. And you're going to remain here legally on that pending I-485 adjustment of status. So, yeah. Are you guys reading comments? I am reading comments. So I'm just going through here. Processing times for the work permit right now, I mean, it's really, really tough to say. I would say typically it's around 3 to 6 months on average. But I think right now, especially, we're seeing like backlogs and we're seeing longer processing times. So yeah, it's tough to say right now. How long can it take this time who's already in the process in the US already to clear out backlogs? I mean, 24 months, again, is going to be a good estimate of how long this is going to take you from the beginning, excuse me, from getting a labor certification filed to actually getting your green card. Let's leave it at 24 months. It's a good estimate right now. It definitely used to be shorter in the past. I used to tell people 12 to 18 months at some point. Then it went from 18 to 24 months. And now I'm just saying straight up 24 months. So, yeah. I have an E2 work visa, which will expire Jan 2023. Will it be convenient to apply for EB3 visa without losing my immigration status based on processing times? You need to apply as soon as possible because in the chance that you get an audit in your labor certification, it's going to come really, really close to January 2023 based on the current processing times. So this is something that, to minimize that risk of you having to get another visa or something, just start the process as soon as you can. Hi, I hardly speak English. I want to know how long the visa takes, what jobs are available, how the process is in general. I'd like information on this subject. Please create an account on our website. And, if you speak Portuguese or if you speak Spanish, Gilvandro or Sarah can help you. But create an account on our website. How do I know my potential employer has already gone through the audit? If the employer may need to be audited, that will increase waiting times. Audits are random. So every single employer ever is going to get audits. There aren't going to be employers that don't get an audit. Pretty much every single employer is going to get audited. It's just those random cases that are going to get the audit. So BDV, we actually notify you and keep you updated through this process when the employers respond to their audit and when they hear back. So pretty much in this whole first step of the process during the labor certification, you are really relying heavily on BDV to keep you updated because there's no government website that you can just go plug your number in and it tells you what's going on with your case. Really, only the employer has the ability to do that. And so they are kind of working through BDV. And so we are keeping you updated on whatever is going on with that case. I had my LC submitted. I had H-1B before. What are my chances of getting audited? Probably the same as everyone else. I mean, it's about 40% and it's random. So you're not going to be any different than another person. Do you know if you'll have new employers this month? Have you ever had any hotel as a sponsor? That's funny you mention it. We do actually have some more sponsors that are going to be coming up, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. One of them actually is a housekeeping job at a large hotel company. So I'm not going to give a ton of information about it right now because nothing's 100% until it's 100%. So when those jobs are available, I will be going in Facebook and I will be talking about those jobs in more detail, putting them online, making them live in your Yao by BDV account. So yeah, so stay tuned in our Facebook group, definitely. And that's where we're kind of announcing all of these new jobs. And then obviously in your BDV account, if you're at that job selection page, you're going to be able to see these jobs and they're going to change in real time in front of you. So if my I-140 is approved and I'm waiting for the EAD and already the drop to the status, is it risky for the 485? In my opinion, no. As long as you have a clean background and you didn't lie at any point in the process, then getting your 485 approved it's really downhill from there. The way I kind of view this program is kind of like a marriage visa, where if you're getting married to me, let's say that we're getting married and I'm a US citizen and I'm in love with you and we have a real love and a real marriage. Well, if you and me go to USCIS and we're married and I want to file for your green card, you're going to get approved because our marriage is real. We're going to be able to prove that our marriage is real and you're going to get your green card as my spouse, right? It's the same concept for employment-based visa. You are essentially married to your employer, and that relationship between you and your employer can be proven. It's real, it's legitimate. So as long as you as an individual have a clean record, you didn't lie, you haven't violated your US visa, you haven't done something to be ineligible for a green card in the first place, then ultimately you are going to get approved too. And that's, again, why you hire BDV, because we are going to make sure that the employer, your sponsor, is doing all of the things that they need to do for you to get approved and for them to get a worker. So yeah. Do you think the process is faster being in the US and changing status or submitting consular process? It really, really depends, honestly. I would say in general, the answer is that doing this process from the United States is faster, definitely. But there are cases where some consular processing clients have gotten their visas and their green cards faster than people adjusting status here in the United States. So it depends on a variety of factors, I think, but generally it's going to be faster in the United States. What does it depend on whether the labor cert is approved quickly or not? How long does it normally take to get approved? Usually it takes around 6 to 12 months. And the only thing really that it depends on is the processing times of the Department of Labor and whether your individual labor certification gets approved or gets audited. Obviously, if you get audited, it's going to take more time. Mitchell, if I have an above average financial situation, can the interviewer deny my EB3 unskilled process, suspecting my intentions in relation to the job? No, as long as your intentions are true, no, you're not going to have any problem. It doesn't matter. Our clients come from various backgrounds. There are wealthy people. We have doctors and lawyers that have gone through this process and have had true intention to work for their sponsor. So they don't have any problems. It doesn't matter if you're overqualified. It doesn't matter if you have a lot of money. It's really irrelevant to them. What's important is that your intention is true, the relationship with you and the employer is real, and that you're going to go to the United States and work for the employer full time, because that's what the visa is and that's what the visa requires. Okay. Is USCIS still having backlogs right now? I've seen a surge in processing times. Yep, this is totally happening. Processing times are definitely getting a little bit out of control right now. I think that something is going to have to happen to for us to see some serious change. But I think that like that's coming, and I think it's something that we'll see soon, because the reality of the situation is the U.S. immigration system is so vital to our economy. The labor that the immigration system provides is it's it's totally understated. And as an American, I can say from my own heart and from my own eyes, Americans that have lived here for years and their family has lived here for years, and they're immigrants, or their great grandparents came as immigrants years ago. Americans don't have any idea what this process is, how difficult it is. Like it's just it's just terrible, honestly. Like, this program and this whole process, in my opinion, should be so much more efficient and effective, because it is so important and it's the backbone of the United States. We have always been and will always be a nation of immigrants. um, I mean, that's not going to change anytime soon. So hopefully USCIS can get this stuff figured out. It's incredibly frustrating, obviously, for people going through the process, but you have to have faith. You have to be patient. You have to know what you're involved in. And yeah, I mean, that's that. My brother and his wife are in J1 and J2. His wife, J2, wants to apply for this. Is it possible for her, as someone told us that J2 are not eligible to apply? That is not true. Whoever told you that J2 is not eligible, I have a J2 client. I have several J2 clients, so it's not a problem to apply while you're on J2. What is important is whether those J1 and J2 visas are subject to the 2-year foreign residence requirement. That's going to be something that when you sign up in our account and you chat with us, we're going to double check that to make sure that you have or don't have that, and then determine your eligibility from there. So again, anyone who has questions about, oh, am I eligible for this, or this is my specific situation, do you think I'm eligible, just create an account on our website and chat with us. You know, we want to talk to you. We want to help you better understand and be clear about you know, what this process entails for you. So yeah. Damn, I have a lot of comments. Holy crap. All right, let's keep going. Have you ever seen a case where there was a problem only because the employer entered the wrong date of the month and the client's birthday when he filed the labor certificate? I have seen, maybe not that specifically, but I have seen some issues with some other clerical errors on the labor certification. I don't necessarily know if that, you know, birth date thing will really have an effect, but it's something, if that happened to you, I think it's just something where you need to chat with our staff and see kind of what the deal is. And we can kind of consult you on that basis. But I don't think I've seen that specifically, but I have seen instances of people getting rejected because their country of birth was incorrect or their name was spelled incorrectly. So yeah, but send us a chat and we'll be happy to help you. Okay, so like I mentioned before, we do offer different payment options. There's option A and option B. Essentially, option A is going to be 2 large payments at one time. You're going to make a payment in the beginning and then a payment after the labor certification is approved before the I-140. Typically, it's around 6 to 12 months that you're going to be making that second payment. And then the other payment option is the monthly installments. With the monthly installment, you still pay that same fee in the beginning that you would with option A. It's just the difference is instead of having that large second payment, you go on a monthly payment plan. For adjustment of status, it's 24 months. For consular processing, it's 36 months. And that monthly payment plan starts immediately after you start your process, the following month after your first payment. If you choose to pay off your remaining balance before 24 months, unfortunately, you don't get a discount. So you need to be sure in the beginning when you sign up which payment option is going to be best for you. Because if you choose option B, even if you're able to pay it off early, you're going to have to pay that full fee for option B. Option B, the monthly payments is a little bit more expensive than option A. I would say most people do option A because of that. But for some people, option B can be a little bit more flexible financially. So it just depends on you. Includes premium processing. Yes, our fees include I-140 premium processing. I-140 premium processing is going to give you, it's going to really guarantee you a response of your I-140 petition within 15 business days from USCIS. So, you know, you could get approved within that 15 business days, or they could issue you an RFE. If they issue an RFE, they're going to ask for more evidence, and then they're going to need to, either the employer or you, probably in conjunction with the attorney, is going to need to respond to that RFE. But then again, with premium processing, once that RFE is submitted, again, it will be responded to within 15 business days from USCIS. So. Okay. I'm getting some questions that are kind of repeating over and over. So I would recommend for anyone who's kind of joined this a little later to come back and watch this, because this video is full of great resources and information about BDV, about the EB3 program, how to sign up, how to move forward in this process. So please, if you just signed in or if you're new here, go back after this is done. This is still going to be available to watch. So just come back and watch it again. How about a social security number? Do we need it after receiving EAD? Yeah, you will need a social security number before working. So a lot of people already have social security numbers through OPT or various CPT, various different kind of ways that people get a social security number. But if you don't have a social security number, you are going to need to get one. Our client services team will help you kind of at that stage of the process. getting that SSN set up. So not something you need to worry about, but you are going to need to wait for it before you start working for your employer. Do you provide the job for EB3? I mean, essentially, yes, this is what we do. We connect you with a qualifying US employer that can sponsor you for a green card through EB3 Unskilled. So what we do is we vet these companies. These are large businesses. Pretty much all the companies we work for have at least over 100 full-time employees. So these are large companies that aren't just going to go away overnight. What we do is we vet them. So we look at their financials and we ensure that they have the stability and ability to do this process for you and get approved. And so that is kind of one of our value propositions here of signing up with BDV, is that we have a lot of experience in vetting these employers and ensuring that we're getting quality employers who, number one, are going to be able to get you approved in the process. But number two, they're also going to be a good employer for you to work for. When I first started at BDV in 2017, BDV was doing a lot of chicken processing and poultry processing jobs. And when I first started at BDV, I used to go on plant tours at these chicken processing plants. I still have nightmares from going on these tours, and like that job specifically was just one of the most terrible, most disgusting things that I ever experienced just going on a tour. I can't imagine like doing an 8-hour shift working in a facility like that. There are other agencies that offer these like poultry processing or turkey processing or beef, whatever, animal processing jobs. They're terrible. And like, one thing that we have done here at BDV is we recognize that those jobs were not jobs that we wanted to kind of offer to our clients, and we kind of moved away from that entire industry. And now I'm happy to say that we work with really great companies that offer really good benefits. I mean, I have a lot of faith in our employees, in our employers that we have now, in our pipeline of employers that we have coming up over the next year. So yes, we will connect you with an employer, with a qualifying sponsoring employer. Hi, Mitchell. For the resume section, what should I include? This is a great question. So really the resume, it's not used for anything except our own internal use. We want to learn a little bit more about you and your background and your experience. So you don't need to add anything in there specifically. In fact, that resume upload is optional. So if you don't want to upload anything at all, you don't need to. You're not required to move forward. But if you have a resume, just upload it in there. We're not looking for anything specifically. We're just trying to learn a little bit more about you. Mitchell, can anyone within the United States with no status apply for EB3? Unfortunately, the answer is no. You have to have a status. So if you're out of status, unfortunately, this program is just not going to work for you. There's some bigger problems on your hands that you're going to have to take care of, because being out of status will disqualify you for applying for an immigrant visa. So I would definitely, for someone out of status, probably want to consult with an immigration attorney that can try to help provide them some advice. Okay. Timeline between initial application and first payment, as long as you make it. If you sign up today, I will probably review questionnaires and review applications, and Sarah and Gilvandro and I will be reviewing those. And once your account is approved, you can select a job and move forward whenever you're ready. So you do it all on our website. You can make a payment on our website, sign the contract directly in your account. So yeah, it's really as long as you want it to be. It could be 12 hours, it could be 1 hour, it could be 2 weeks, it could be a year. Totally up to you. Okay, just gonna keep scrolling down here. This is an interesting question that I think probably a lot of people are curious about. These companies that we work with are very large companies, so they're looking to hire a lot of people at one time. That is kind of what makes this process work. Unskilled employers are not necessarily willing to go through like a huge process like this for one person. And so kind of the value here for the employer is that they're able to get as many people as they need, as many people as they can really afford to pay, as many people as, financially they can prove that they have the ability to pay and the ability to support. So these companies are seriously in desperate need. It's not a joke. Look it up on Google. There's thousands of articles you can read about the labor shortage in the United States, but each employer is going to have their own number of vacancies depending on their need, depending on their finances. However, a smaller employer or a larger employer, there's really not going to be a difference between the two. You're not like, some people will be like, oh, well, should I be with a employer that has only 20 openings as opposed to one with 70 openings because there's more chance for me to get approved? That's not the way to look at this. The way to look at this is you trust BDV and you trust the employers, all the employers that we're bringing to the table, and you select the one that's best for you based on which job you would like to do and which location you would like to move to. So don't worry about trying to pick the best one or pick the one with the highest chance. It's a waste of time and it's a myth. So listen to your heart. Pick that location that you think is right for you and that job that you think you're going to thrive in and you're going to be able to prosper and do your best in. Yeah. Okay. Another question here. Is there any number limitation for EB3 visa or green card each year? I mean, does USCIS publish any number for EB3 green card they're giving in the fiscal year? Yes, the answer is there is a limit. For the EB3 Unskilled program, there is a 10,000 limit per year. Based on my knowledge, that 10,000 limit has never, ever been reached, actually. Though over the past 3 or 4 years, the numbers are definitely increasing and heading in a direction where it could potentially hit that cap in the next couple of years. But right now, it's not kind of anywhere near there. And personally, I believe by that time where it would actually be hitting these kind of caps, I think that we're going to end up seeing immigration reform, and we're going to end up seeing a program like this that has such a positive impact on the economy to increase. I mean, it's a hope of mine. It's kind of like a pipe dream of mine, but I truly believe that in the future, in the next 5 years, hopefully, we're going to see some true immigration reform that is going to increase the numbers for this program. Just a little bit of background. This entire process, this entire EB3 program started with the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1990. That was the last time in 1990, I wasn't even alive, but in 1990 was the last time when there was true, like, comprehensive immigration reform in the United States. And the numbers have not changed since 1990. So despite 30 years of population growth and 30 years of economic growth, those numbers from 1990 have not changed at all. And a lot of this has to do with politics, Democrat, Republican. It's just this controversial topic that just separates Democrats and Republicans, and totally ridiculous to me. I hate politics, to be totally honest with y'all. Like, Democrat, Republican, who cares? I mean, all I care about is our clients being able to do this program efficiently and effectively. And it's clear that that's not happening right now. And it's clear that the government has a lot of things that they need to work on and that they need to fix. And I think that they are going to fix them because it's going to be necessary. But yeah, the answer to your question is yes, there is a limit right now, 10,000 a year. It could change in the future. I think it probably will change in the future. That quota is currently not being met, but I told this to people 2-3 years ago. You better sign up for this program now because more and more people are going to start figuring out about this, and it's going to become more and more competitive to actually get a job that's going to sponsor you for this program. I truly believe that if you're here listening to this right now, you're here early. even though I've been here for 5 years, kind of saying the same thing over and over again, I still feel like it's early because obviously everyone is very skeptical walking into this. And I think a lot of people now have friends that have had successful cases, family members that have had successful cases, and now they know, oh, this is real. This is legitimate. This is a real way for me to get a green card for me and my family. And and you know, wow, I never knew something like this even existed. Um, so just keep that in mind. And that's just kind of anecdotal observation from my experience and how I feel about the future of this program. But yeah, I really do believe that if you're here listening to this right now, you're still here early, and take advantage of this opportunity if you have the ability to do so and you want to do so. Um, Okay, this is another great, very important question. Basanta, thank you for asking. How long must the applicant work with the sponsor? There is going to be no contract between you and the sponsor directly. There is a contract that you sign with BDV Solutions in the beginning before you make your payment or anything, where you commit to working at least 1 year, at least 12 months, at least 365 days with your sponsor in this full-time job. When you're working for the sponsor, nothing stops you from getting promoted, from growing within the company. We've had many, many clients that have grown up within the company, been promoted, become managers, had supervisor roles. So you have to start in this entry-level job, but nothing stops you from going in, being a really awesome person, awesome employee, where one of your peers looks and says, "Hey, you would be great for this job actually instead of this job. So we're going to move you over here." That's something that happens often with with our clients. And yeah, so you need to understand that you need to work at least 1 year full time for your sponsor. If you don't want to do that, don't sign up for this program, because the employer is expecting it of you. BDV is expecting it of you. And that's what makes this whole thing work, is the integrity of this visa program. And if you're going to do this program and then only work for the employer for a couple of months and then quit, you are ruining the integrity of this program, not only for yourself, and it's going to come back and bite you in the butt, but you're ruining the integrity of the program for everyone else around you. Which, in my opinion, don't do that. No one wants to be that person that's doing that. So again, I'm going to emphasize: understand what you're signing up for when you sign up for this, because it's serious. It's a full-time job with a real company that has gone through a rigorous immigration process that most companies are not even willing to touch. Most companies are not willing to do this for you because they don't want to deal with all this crazy immigration stuff. I mean, it's a lot of work for them to go through all of this and to manage it. So they do that for a reason. And the reason is that they really need your work, and they really, are relying on you to go and be a good employee. It's so simple. So, all right, this is another point that I would definitely want to address. If you are on TPS, you can apply for this program for adjustment of status as long as you entered the United States legally and then you filed for TPS. You can't have entered the United States from the border illegally and then filed for TPS. But if you're on TPS right now and you enter the US legally, you can adjust your status in the United States in any state. It doesn't matter which state you're in. It used to be specific states. Luckily, that was such a stupid rule in the first place. They got rid of that rule, and now if you're on TPS, you can apply, anywhere, any state. It doesn't matter. So, any idea if DOL is going to speed up in 2022? I think that's a good question. I hope. I can only hope. We can only hope. Keep our fingers crossed and do whatever we do to try to bring a good outcome to the situation. I think they will. Personally, I have faith in these organizations that they're going to get their stuff together and be able to work effectively and efficiently. But you never know with the US government. You really never know. So let's see here. All right. This person asked, what happens if I'm in OPT and then I leave OPT and I'm on TPS, but I'm only on TPS at that point? That's fine. You can totally do that because you can adjust from TPS. So if you don't want to maintain your student status anymore and you're just on TPS, that's fine. And you can adjust your status from that. When is the right time to drop your F1 status? I would say like when you get your work permit is like a pretty standard time. Some people that are eager to drop it faster will drop it once they get their I-140 approved and their I-485 adjustment of status is filed. That is going to be a safe time to drop your status. A lot of people will wait even longer until they have that work permit. Let's see here. To be honest, I'm not super familiar with this, the I-693, so I would love to answer your question, but I don't know the answer to it. Maybe I could try to figure it out for you, but yeah, sorry, I'm really not familiar with it. Okay, this is an important question. If my son turns 21 next year, can I add him in the process? If your dependent is about to turn 21, essentially your dependent needs to be under the age of 21 at the time of the I-140 filing for the main applicant. So I-140s typically are going to take anywhere from, let's say, 8 to 13 months, I would say, on average, for you to get your I-140 filed, including like your labor certification processing time. That's kind of what you're looking at. So if your son is turning 21 next year, this is going to be a process that you want to start as soon as you can. So you can try to get him to be a part of your application and he doesn't have to do his own application on his own. Obviously, you might not be able to make it. He might age out and he might not be able to be your dependent, but it's better to get your process started now so you can try to get him in if it is possible. Mohammed here. BDV is the best so far. I researched. Appreciate that. Shout out to you. Best of luck to all, including me. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm biased here because I'm here selling this service and I want y'all to obviously sign up for it. But other people will tell you what I'm telling you without bias, that have gone and done their own research and tried to, tried to figure out this program and how it works. So again, I'm going to emphasize for everyone to do your own research BDV, research this program, look at other sources besides ours, and then utilize the resources that we have as well. This is a good question. Why is the process so expensive? Process is undoubtedly expensive. Anyone who is going to say that this process is not expensive is a very, very wealthy person, because $20,000 to me, and I think $20,000 to most people, is incredibly expensive. It is expensive for several different reasons. Number one, the costs are pretty much all inclusive. So they're going to include all of the government fees, including I-140 premium processing, the legal fees. So our fees that you see are going to include a third-party law firm acting as your attorney during the process. And so those fees are included in that. And then also the BDV fees. The BDV fees are also expensive. As we have scaled up our business, we've hired a lot of people here. We have an office here, a big, huge office where we are, processing everyone's cases. And to be quite frank, we've added a lot of expense and investments in this business to make it better for our clients. And so, yeah, between BDV Solutions fee, the legal fee, and the government fees, it's expensive. It just is. And you're not going to find someone to do work like this for you, work that literally is kind of going on for years at a time, and it to be cheap. And if it is cheap, I would be skeptical, because cheap doesn't always mean better. The grass is not always greener on the other side. So It's expensive, definitely, and that's something that everyone should be aware of. Can a denied B2 visa get in the way of the process? That's a good question. I have another video in our YouTube channel where I interview Mandy Furerbacher. She's a former US consular officer, and we get really deep into this question about previously denied visas, non-immigrant visas, if they have any effect on your EB3 application. The short and sweet answer is no. Most of these non-immigrant visa denials won't have any effect on your EB3 case. So yeah, I would definitely recommend to check that video out if you have more questions about it, because we really get into a lot of details of it. Another good question here. How long after the I-765 is approved, the work permit, do I have to start to move and start working if you live in another state? There isn't really a set time frame here. We encourage you to relocate and start working as soon as you can, especially now with what's going on. We're seeing a lot of people get work permits, and then like 2 weeks later, they're getting an interview notice. And in many cases, it is very helpful for you to be working for your sponsor before you have that interview, because if you get any sort of questions, any sort of hard time in your interview, you're going to have pay stubs, you're going to have documentation to back you and support your case, showing that you do have true intention to work for your sponsor because you're working for them right now as you speak to the officer in your interview. So you're going to try to want to move as soon as you can. Obviously, moving from state to state can be stressful. It can take some time. You might have a lease or something like that. So we work with each of our clients on an individual basis here, just based on their circumstances. So yeah. F2 came in here January with your wife. Can you apply? Absolutely. F2 can apply. F1 can apply. If you're a dependent of an F1, or you're a dependent of a J1, or if you're an H4 of an H1B, you can still apply for this. You don't have to be the F1 or the J1 or the H1B. You can be the F2, the J2, or the H4. So you can absolutely be the main applicant. And then your spouse that's on F1 or J1 or H1B can also be your dependent, and they will also get their green card with this program with you. So it's a win-win situation, you know. Let's scroll here. Okay. This comment was really long, but I want to put it here publicly because I just want to probably argue with you a little bit. But after speaking with Mitchell in 2019, we signed up for the program only because his speech convinced us. But a lot of time passed by then. And as you grow more popular and have numerous clients, you start to care less for the people after they're done making the full payment. That's why you never transfer the old clients to the new platform. If anything happens with the employer, we contact you. No one from BDV ever replies or calls back. On top of that, you guys take side with blah, blah, blah. I can't even read the rest of this, but I don't know who you are, and I'll go back on Facebook after this and try to talk to you about your specific situation. But to say that no one from BDV ever replies to you or calls back, that's just not true. We have an entire staff here that is constantly in communication with all of our clients. So, and then you also made another note here about never transferring old clients to the new platform. All of our clients now are on the new platform. So if you aren't on the new platform, I'm not sure why. You need to sign into the new platform, and you can chat with our staff directly in your account and schedule a phone call with us. So I don't know exactly what issue you're having with your case. Seems like your case is taking a long time, and I understand that could be frustrating for you. But to turn it back around on BDV and say, "Oh, we're the problem. We don't care about you. We don't give you the attention that you need." I will go back specifically and talk to you and look at your case, and we'll try to hash this out and figure this out. But I care about every single person that comes through the system. I might not know you personally. I might not like have ever met you before, but I truly care. And I think everyone in this office, the reason why we come here every day is because we care about our clients and we want them to get their green card. We share that goal and that same passion that you do. So for you to tell us that we don't, it's not nice. And I don't think it's very considerate of us and maybe the work that we have done for you. Granted, you have your own side of the story here and you have your own problems, that's fine. But what we do here is we solve problems. So send us a chat. Let's schedule a phone call and hopefully we can get to the bottom of this. And hopefully you can get your green card at the end of all this and you can post a good review. And I think that at the end of the day, that will be the result. And posts like this, you're going to look back on and say, well, why did I ever post that? That was just wrong to post. So, but let's just, let's communicate. I'm happy to hear there's two sides always to each story. And look, BDV has had problems definitely replying to clients and calling clients back and trying to effectively organize our communication. It's something that we're managing here as more and more people find out about this program and more people sign up. We're hiring more staff members to handle this capacity and this volume, but we're all just humans at the end of the day, you know, that have families and we go home after work and live a normal life. So we can only do so much and we can only train people so quickly. So just be patient with us. That's kind of all I ask of you and all I ask of all of our clients, is because the process is not necessarily going to be easy. And you're seeing a case right here of someone who clearly is extremely frustrated. And this can happen in your process. You might get really frustrated. And it's just a reality of the situation. So again, you're seeing it right here firsthand. I obviously don't want to scare anyone away or scare anyone out of a decision to do this program, but understand that you might be a little emotionally volatile when going through this process just because it's totally out of your hands and it's nerve wracking and it's stressful and it's a huge life decision. So I totally get that. I have so many more messages and I've almost been talking for 2 hours now. I honestly don't think that I can talk anymore. But I really hope that I gave y'all some clarity, and was able to answer a lot of your questions. My computer here is going to die as well. So I'm going to sign off here. I am, you know, excited for what this year holds for BDV. We have a lot of new employers that are coming in the pipeline, and obviously there's a lot of people figuring out this deal, figuring out this program and signing up. So I hope that everyone can remain calm, remain patient, remain positive. This is not an easy thing. It's not an easy process. It's incredibly complex and it can be incredibly stressful. But rest assured, our team is here to provide you support, to provide you confidence, and ultimately to hold your hand down this path until you get your green card and you become a permanent resident and you have successfully gotten all the way through the system. So, yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. I'm sorry I couldn't get back to all these comments here, but I'm going to try to go back and just reply like through comments on Facebook. Yeah, I'm going to go back and kind of reply to these comments on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on here. So I'll try to definitely get back to y'all. And I really appreciate y'all's time. There's been like 70, 80, 90 people watching this thing consistently the whole time. So if you sat here through this whole thing, thank you. I appreciate you, appreciate your attention and your time. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are. We're going to do this again really soon. And I look forward to bringing more BDV staff members onto these live videos, just so y'all can have more insight into what we're doing every day, what goes on in this office to really make this whole thing happen, and just to, you know, help y'all feel more comfortable, more personable with our staff here, and y'all can just put faces to names and things like this. So thank y'all so much for watching. Really appreciate y'all, and yeah, we're gonna have a great year. And I'm going to be here alongside y'all along the way. So thank y'all very much. See y'all very soon. Take it easy.